Good evening, sports fans. This is A2D Radio. It's Monday night. Sports Hounds are live. Another quarantine remote broadcast. As you can see, Brad Ryer is with us. I am back making my triumphant return after a week off. Former NHL star Grant Ledyard joins us to start off the show. As always, the Sports Hounds are brought to you by Dr. Paul Vidal. He's our doc. Make him yours too. 3 convenient locations in Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton. Also brought to you by the Gutter and Roof Guys of South Jersey, Ambuck Services. Give them a call today, 856-879-5530. We are streaming live on Facebook, Periscope, Instagram. You miss anything on any of the shows on A2D Radio, it can be streamed and podcast. Spreaker, Spotify, Google Play, iTunes, iHeartRadio. The takeover is real. A2D Radio is everywhere. Join the debate. Let's talk about it. We're the fastest growing media company in the country. Brad, sports right around the corner. Baseball starts Thursday. Hockey and basketball will start soon after. We are returning to normalcy.
August 1st, brother. August 1st.
We have sports and competition back in our lives. Talking some sports and competition right now. Former NHL defensive great, Mr. Grant Ledyard. Grant, welcome to the show. I see you have a special guest in your lap there as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
Uh-oh, can you hear us?
Grant's frozen.
Uh-oh.
But
unfortunately, you guys are breaking up.
Okay,
we have Grant. Grant, are you there?
Uh-oh.
All right, our poll question. Let me take this moment to tell you about our friends at Philly Drinkers. Get all your A2D merchandise, phillydrinkers.com. Click on the A2D radio collection. You got bathing suits, you got shorts, you got tank tops, you got golf polos, you got hoodies and sweatshirts for the winter. You have hats, you have bumper stickers. Absolutely every A2D thing you need, A2D radio. Philly Drinkers has it. Go ahead. It's reasonably priced. We need as many human billboards as possible out there. Get your stuff, phillydrinkers.com. Great company. But do we have Grant back?
Grant, if you can hear us, go out and try to come back in again.
All right, we're going to get that, try and get that squared away. He's gone right now. Hopefully he'll be right back. But Brad, I had my fantasy baseball draft last night with some college buddies, not the draft I usually run that you're a participant in. I'm psyched for baseball on Thursday. We're going to start off with the Yankees and the Nationals, Scherzer and Garrett Cole. We had a nightcap with the Giants-Dodgers, a great rivalry. The poll question of the night tonight is, will the Philadelphia Phillies make the playoffs? I'm starting it off. This team is going to bash their way to the second wild card. I think the Washington Nationals win the National League East. Their pitching is just too strong. They're just not going to lose many games in a row with those 3 horses at the top. But I think with Joe Girardi, I think with that lineup, and I think the Phillies have just enough pitching to grab one of those 2 wild card spots. I think the Phillies get back into October baseball, postseason baseball, under Joe Girardi.
I think you're right. I'll tell you what, how'd you like that little shot Didi hit yesterday?
Didi Gregorius is awesome. They're up 2-0 on the Yankees right now. Bryce Harper and Didi Gregorius both hit 3-run homers off Mad Max down in Washington, D.C. the other night. Looks like we have Grant Ledyard back.
Yes, sir.
NHL defensive star. Grant, can you hear us now?
Yeah, it's a little bit choppy, but hopefully you guys can hear me okay.
We can hear you perfectly. Hey, Grant,
right. Okay,
I want to. First thing I want to ask you: how did you enjoy playing for the Rangers?
Well, I was. I took a very unusual route to the NHL. I was not drafted. I didn't grow until I was 19. And then I played my last year of junior back in my home province of Manitoba. And so as a 20-year-old, I had already signed a a scholarship deal with the University of Manitoba for all of 20 players to pay for all books and class. And then I got a knock on my door one day from Danny Summers. He was the head scout of the Rangers, and he showed up.
That was breaking up again. There must be some weather somewhere.
Signed it on the spot, and
He froze up again.
Froze up again. Grant, maybe try and go back in, come back out again. We'll try and get this squared away. We get some New York Rangers, some hockey insight from the great Grant Ledyard. But Brad, let's get back to baseball real quick before we get Grant back. I really like this team. I mean, you just mentioned Didi Gregorius and Joe Girardi from your Yankees.
You even got Neil Walker, for crying out loud. Like, what is it? Half your team Yankees now?
I mean, it's not a bad strategy. They're in the World Series every year, so.
Oh, they got a lot. I'll tell you what. We're gonna miss Didi's defense.
Well, that's the main reason they got him. I think Gene Segura just made too many mental mistakes last year at shortstop. His lackadaisical, lazy attitude last year cost you your leadoff hitter. Changed the whole season because he didn't run out a pop fly. It caused Andrew McCutchen to tear his ACL, and the Phillies were just never the same after that.
No, but they're going to have everybody. Hopefully, everybody can stay healthy for 60 games, and they can make a run. I mean, listen, they've got enough of a lineup that they should be able to compete without question. The one thing about I think we got Grant back.
Third time's the charm, hopefully, with Grant. But Brad, I look at the National League East, and look, the National League East and the American League East have a tough task ahead of them to grab one of these wild card spots because they all play each other, and they're both very talented and very competitive divisions. But I look at the NL East specifically. Let's throw the Marlins out because they stink. They're trying to stink. They're always rebuilding. They have no chance. You look at the Mets. I think the Phillies are far superior to the Mets. I'm not sure about.
I kind of disagree with you there.
What's that?
I got to disagree with you there. They're not far superior to the Mets.
I think they're a better baseball team than the Mets.
How do you feel? How do you think that? I'm just curious because
I think they have a better lineup. I think they have a better lineup. I think they have
better lineup. Better lineup. Okay.
Yes, the Phillies have a better lineup than the Mets.
I disagree. The Mets lineup is just as good as the Phillies lineup. Other than catcher,
Alonso is part of it.
Alonso is just as good as anybody on the Phillies, including Bryce Harper. He hit 53 home runs last year.
I mean, we'll see if he can do it again. I mean, that's 1 year and he hit 53 home runs. Is this a sign of things to come for Pete Alonso, or did he have his best season as a rookie? We've seen that before. Robinson Cano is over the hill. Amid Rosario.
I'll tell you what, he looked pretty good in the second half of last year. Conforto is a very good hitter.
Conforto is a good hitter.
Conforto is very good. I mean, J.D. Davis can hit the ball. Jeff McNeil can hit the ball. They got guys that can hit the ball. I mean, I think you're. And listen, I don't like the Mets. I'm a big anti-Met person, as you know. But I got to tell you, their lineup isn't that bad, Rob. They can hit the ball.
I didn't say their lineup was bad. I said the Phillies lineup is better, which is true.
Well, I mean, I'm just going over the positions in my head. The Mets are definitely better at first base. I would think. Second base, who's the Mets' second baseman now? Cano is the second.
No.
And who's your second baseman now?
Kingery.
I still think Cano is probably still a little better.
Why? Because he's more established and you know his name better, and he used to be on the Yankees.
He's got a lifetime 300 average. I mean, there's
Okay,
something to be said.
why do I care what he did in 2007 and 2020?
He last year he was hurt. He got off to a bad start. Then he got hurt. Then he came back and he hit the ball pretty well. I think you're underrating. I think you're underrating Cano and overrating Kingery. I mean, Kingery's got a ways to go before he can be in Cano's league. And also, Cano is a tremendous defensive player as well. Shortstop. I defensively, Didi is way better than Amado and offense.
Looks like we have Grant back. Grant, do you have us this time?
I don't know what's going on out there. Grant, you're in Western New York, right? I think we got him now.
Yeah, you guys are breaking up. I hear a couple words, then I can't hear much at all. So how about now?
We got you now.
We got you now. Hopefully we can keep it going. Well, I wanted to get back to how you started and how you ended up a Ranger to start your career.
Yeah, you guys are gone again. I'm gonna try. I'll try it in another.
Okay. Okay, he's gonna try again. Okay, let's get back.
Getting back to the Phillies. I mean, okay, Didi Gregorius. I mean, Didi.
I put Didi over Rosario every day of the week. I can't argue that one.
I mean, Gene Segura is probably going to hit 290 to 300 at third base. I guess J.D. Davis is the Mets third baseman. He's not a bad third baseman, but you want to talk about
Mets third baseman. Jeff McNeil is the third baseman.
Jeff McNeil's the third baseman. I mean, okay, he can hit a little bit. Like, I'll give it to him, but like
Jeff McNeil is a better hitter.
As good as him. They're different types of players.
Yeah, I think I would take J.D. Davis plays left now, which is a little bit of a bit of a jump.
And then you have McCutchen in left. You have Hazley in center, and you have Bryce Harper, who's the best offensive player on either team in right.
I disagree. I think Alonso is just as good as Harper right
Okay, well, I mean, off 1 year, you just said Robinson.
Listen, as I said,
how can you use the veteran argument with Robinson Cano and then dismiss it just totally dismiss it with Alonso versus Harper? I mean, let's get consistent.
Who had it better? Listen, let me ask you a question, okay? Harper has never hit 53 home runs.
No.
Okay? He doesn't. He's not a 300 hitter. He's like a 250 hitter.
Harper's won an MVP.
True. He's also had 4 or 5 years of 250 or under, so that's not exactly he's not exactly Grant. We got Grant back. We'll finish this argument later. Grant, okay, let's try this again now. Okay, how are we doing this? I can see you. Can you hear us?
You can see me? Can you hear me?
That's correct.
Yes. Can you hear us?
I can sort of hear you guys. Yeah, let's give it a shot.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So we were talking about, before you got cut off, about how you became a Ranger, being undrafted, and kind of your journey to the NHL.
Yeah, and I arrived in New York, my first training camp, straight out of I played 1 year in Saskatoon, and that's smaller than Winnipeg. So come on, I mean, I go straight from Winnipeg and Saskatoon. I'm standing in downtown New York City. Within the 3-week period, I signed with New York, got here, and was at training camp. So it was pretty eye-opening, and my first time down 42nd Street was quite something.
Oh yeah, back then 42nd Street is not what it is now. That's for sure. Things will change a lot though in New York and 42nd Street, thankfully. But yeah, Grant, when you were with the Rangers, and I got to tell you, as a Ranger fan, I really like.
I can't hear. I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. There must be some storm here.
Can you hear me? Daggone it! I think we lost him again.
All right. Well, getting back to baseball. I mean, I don't understand your thought process here, Brad. With
Well, let me ask you a question.
a
Okay.
veteran in Harper, who's an MVP, does his average suffer a little bit? Yeah, but he always hits 300 post All-Star break. He always finishes strong. I
Well,
expect
let's see
right
what
there
Alonso,
for MVP this year.
let's see what Alonso does this year. At again, it's only 60 games, but
Do you think the Mets are going to make the playoffs?
no, I don't know. I don't know that the Mets are going to make the playoffs. Losing Noah Syndergaard.
Okay, well, you agreed to the poll, so you think the Phillies are going to make the playoffs?
Yeah, but you said that they're.
You're sitting here arguing with me about the Mets.
No, you said that they have a way better.
I don't even think the Mets are going to make the playoffs.
You said that they have a way better. Phillies have a way better lineup than the Mets.
They do have a better lineup.
I don't think they do. I think the Mets.
So you're disagreeing to the poll then?
Okay,
what about Atlanta? So the Phillies are better than the Mets.
I agree. I agree with you because the Mets they don't have Syndergaard, and I think that's going to kill them this year. Atlanta, I don't think they're better than Atlanta. Atlanta, to me,
I'll tell you what. I look at the Atlanta Braves and I see a team that lost their cleanup hitter in Josh Donaldson and didn't replace him, and I see a starting pitching staff that I'm not that big of a fan of. And I see they have a really good bullpen.
And they also can hit the ball.
They're very young, which I think will serve them well in a shortened season, COVID-ridden season like this. But I mean,
Atlanta is a real good team. As long as Freddie
starting outfielder Nick Markakis is opted out. He's not.
And then they signed Puig, but then Puig got COVID.
Puig has COVID and he's not on the team.
Right. So I don't know what
Cole Hamels is injured. All right, we have Grant back. We're going to try and get this squared away. So, Grant, you were a defenseman that you were ahead of your time. You were a puck-carrying defenseman. You facilitated offense. What are your comments on how you think the defense position in today's NHL has changed from the time you played?
Well, I'm going to go with the question that I think you said, which was, what do I see as the changes that have happened in the NHL since I played? I don't know. I just came in and I just played a style of a game that I was familiar with, and I could skate and I could handle the puck, and I learned early on that
there must be something going on.
I mean, we're gonna have to maybe get him on later on, or
yeah,
it's just not working out tonight. But
hey, Grant, maybe try in like 10, 15 minutes.
But getting back to baseball starting Thursday, we both think the Phillies are going to make the. So who are your National League playoff teams?
Atlanta.
I feel for
how many teams are going to make the playoffs this year?
I want to play a lot of minutes. I better learn how to.
It's just not working out.
No. Grant, we can't hear you. It's a shame. Grant, if you can hear us, let's try again. Let's try again, maybe. If you can come on next week, let's try again next week, because for some reason there's interference and it's not going to work. Anyway,
so who are your National League playoff teams? I need to get a feel for your.
Is that that's Freddie Solomon.
So Freddie's here.
Is that Freddie?
Early.
I don't think he can hear us either. I think we're having problems with the. No, it's still Grant. Okay. Grant, are you there?
Solomon on at 8, former Eagles receiver. We gotta move away from Grant. I apologize, but
Yeah, Grant, we're really sorry. For some
Um,
reason, it's not going to work. Grant, I'll talk to you during the week. Maybe we can have you come on again, maybe next week or the following week.
But
Because
your National League playoff teams,
all right, what are there? 5 teams now?
5 teams make it.
5 teams. I would say the Dodgers. I like Cincinnati. I like the Nationals and the Braves and the Phillies. I think all 3 of them can make it. I think those are going. I think the 2 playoff teams are going to come out of your division.
Okay, I mean,
I think that I think that those are the 5 best teams in the National League right now. St. Louis.
like Sandy.
I'm not in love with St. Louis.
I'm not in love with St. Louis either.
I think Jordan Hicks.
The only thing I would disagree on is I'm taking the Braves out and I'm putting the Padres in, and I think the Brewers.
Padres.
I think the Brewers are going to just miss.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think they have enough pitching. The Brewers. St. Louis is. I just don't think St. Louis is going to get there. I like Cincinnati. I like what they've done. I think this is the year that they've basically built their team to compete this year, and I think that's going to be what goes on in the National League.
And then you think Washington wins the National League East?
No, I like Atlanta.
You like Atlanta, so you got Phillies Nationals wild card game.
Yes.
All right, let's see what the people think. Let's get to some comments here. Don't forget about our great sponsors, Dr. Paul Vidal and Ambuck Services. Tom Arnone, he agrees to the poll. Ring the bell. So he thinks the Phillies are going to make the playoffs. Joseph H, he thinks I need to practice the open, and he's right, but he can bite me. That's fine. It's all fun. Greg Milakovic, he agrees to the polls. The Phillies will win. The Phillies will win the National League East. I don't think I can get there with this team yet, a division champion, just because the bullpen is such a question mark. I mean, you really need guys to step up. You need Adam Morgan to pitch lights out as your lefty. You need Neres to lock down the ninth, which can be dicey at times.
Rob, the problem with the Phillies is that their bullpen is very shaky. And let's be honest, okay? The pitchers right now, I mean, you're seeing pitchers that are coming out of summer camp, and they're pitching 4 to 5 the starting pitchers are pitching like 4 to 5 innings. So I mean, the bullpen is going to be a key part of the season, and I really am worried about the Phillies bullpen. I mean, I just don't see. I see them coming in the back end as the second wild card because they are gonna hit enough to do that, and they do have fairly good starting pitching. But again, the problem is your bullpens are going to be pitching, especially the first 3-4 weeks of the season in August. The bullpens are going to be pitching 3 to 4 innings every game. Because I mean, these pitchers, nobody's going to push.
Why do you think that?
Because I'm seeing the starting pitchers, and none of them are going more than 4 to 5 innings at a summer camp, and because they just haven't had enough time to really. It takes 6 weeks of spring training for the pitchers to get themselves to a point.
But Brad, what do you think? They didn't throw the ball at all during quarantine?
I don't think that. I just think that if they're not in summer, if they're not in spring training, I don't think that they're going to be they're going to be ready to throw as many innings as they should. Not to start anyway. And I do think it's going to take.
I don't know. I think that's an old school mentality. I mean, these guys weren't sitting on their keisters all quarantine. They were working out. They were stretching their arms out. They were throwing the ball.
Yeah, but it's not the same.
Keenly Jansen.
It's not.
What do you mean it's not the same thing?
It's not the same.
A throwing program is a throwing program. Doesn't matter if you do it on Mars, Jupiter, or right here on planet Earth at your house or in Florida at spring training. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, but they're not pitching simulated games, and they're not going up against live hitting.
Why can't you pitch a simulated game at your house?
You're going to have live hitters? I mean, it does matter, Rob. I mean,
play pickup games at Florida high schools.
Well, they could. I mean, listen, I don't know though. I mean, that's the whole point. What I'm trying to say to you is, and I mean, I've been watching, some of these teams play. I watched the Yankees play. Their starting pitchers didn't go more than, I think Montgomery last night went 5, and I think who pitched the night before? One of the rookies pitched the night before, and he went 4. It's tough for these guys to come. It's tough for these guys. It's going to take some time for the pitchers to stretch themselves out and be able to go 7, 8 innings. 6, 7, 8 innings every start. You're not going to see that probably until August. I think it's going to take a little time. Yeah, I think that.
I mean, we'll see, and maybe you'll be right, but I think you're over.
Bullpen is going to be
I think you're overblowing this a lot.
I think the bullpens are going to be critical this year in both the American and National League. And now that the National League has a DH, I think that's going to help. I think that's going to help a lot of these teams keep from getting some of their star players hurt too. That's not going to be a bad thing. I mean, I'll be honest with you. If I'm the Phillies, I might consider DHing McCutchen just to keep him healthy. I mean, he's coming back from pretty serious injury.
I guess. I
don't know who are you guys playing?
Oh, we have Jay Bruce, we have Hazley, we have Roman Quinn, we have Neil Walker. It's going to be a rotating situation for DH. They're going to keep guys fresh. They're going to keep guys healthy. They're going to get guys at bats. So, I mean, is McCutchen going to be the DH sometimes? Probably. Is Rhys Hoskins going to be the DH sometimes? Yeah. Is Bryce will be DH? Realmuto, get him out from behind the dish for a game. Maybe he'll be the DH.
Yeah, I could see Realmuto playing a few games at first and getting Hoskins as a.
That's certainly possible too.
DH. If I were the Phillies, that's what I would do. I mean, just to give him a break, because he can't. I mean, he's a great catcher, and don't get me wrong, and he'll probably play 55 out of the 60 games, but you still have to rest him in 2 games. If you get his bat in the lineup and you just put him in first base, he'll be fresher come the end of the season and towards the
playoffs. Rhys Hoskins is a terrible fielder. I like him as a hitter. Hopefully he bounces back without Gabe messing with his brain, but I don't care who the manager is. He's a terrible fielder. So you're probably gaining defense if you put JT Realmuto at first base.
Yeah, maybe that perhaps is not far from being true. Listen, I like the Phillies this year. I think they got a real good team. As I said, I like some of the moves. I think Neil Walker was a good move for you guys. He can play a lot of different positions. He's got a little pop on his bat. Obviously, Didi Gregorius. I mean, he's a real good shortstop. I mean, I watch the Yankees now. Glaber offensively is way ahead of Didi at this stage of his career, but I mean, defensively, he can't hold a candle to Didi. He really can't. I mean, the balls that Didi used to get, even last year, even when he had the bad arm, he still was making great plays.
Yeah, I think Glaber, he's a little misplaced there at shortstop. I know they're doing what they have to do, and you have to have Glaber in your lineup somewhere. And he's probably the best equipped to play shortstop on the Yankees. But, I see him as a second baseman, maybe a third baseman.
Well, he came up as a shortstop, so that's why.
I know he did. But Bryce Harper played catcher until he went to the minor leagues.
Well, he's too good an offensive player to catch. So, but I mean,
just saying that doesn't mean anything.
Huh? Well,
it doesn't mean anything how they came up or what they played in Little League or anything like that.
No, but Glaber was playing shortstop in the minors, so. I mean, that's where he was playing. I think he's going to be a good shortstop. Is he going to be a great shortstop? I don't know. He's going to be a great hitter. He already is a great hitter, and that's something that's.
Yeah, I mean, he might hit 15 home runs in the shortened quarantine season, which is a lot in 60 games.
How many times does he get to play the Orioles?
A lot. A lot. You're in your division, and I'll tell you what, the Baltimore Orioles should be ashamed of themselves. For a once proud franchise like that to have the roster that they have, the roster that they're going to put out there opening day, that's embarrassing. It really is embarrassing because they're a team that spent money in the past. They should be competitive. You lose Machado and you just throw in the towel and tank. I mean, the Pirates, I can understand. They don't spend money. The Royals, I understand. They don't spend money. Oakland's good and Tampa's good, and they don't spend any money. So for a team like the Orioles, a franchise like the Orioles, to put out a roster like that is really bad for baseball.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's more the pitching than anything else, but I mean, it is kind of ridiculous. Their pitching is horrible.
I mean, I don't see much going on with their lineup either. Their pitching is all time bad.
Their pitching is horrendous.
But I don't see much going on in terms of everyday.
Other than Means
either.
Means, who I think is a number 3 on a good team. I don't see any other pitchers on that team as being any good. I mean, Dylan Bundy, I kind of liked him, but he had a horrible year last year, and now he's on the Angels. So I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's weird because it's hard to figure with them with their pitchers. Are they bad because the ballpark is so small, or are they bad because they have no talent?
I think they're bad because they stink.
Well, it could be a combination of, because that ballpark doesn't help. I mean, let's be honest. I mean,
well, some of the meatballs I saw their Orioles pitching staff throw last year, they would have went out of any ballpark in the whole country. So I think
no question. No, I'm not. Listen, no question. But certainly they're. I mean, listen, everybody gets to play them, so that's going to be the American League East and the National League East's benefit to play them, and you got to beat up on the bad teams. So that's
all right. Chrome checks in. He really likes the Didi addition for the Phillies. Could be a similar addition as McCutchen last year. Nice veteran presence, and I believe he still has some juice in the tank. I think Didi Gregorius has plenty of juice left in the tank.
Oh yeah, no,
he's better for the Phillies this year than McCutchen was for the Phillies last year. Before he got hurt.
Didi is one of those guys, and Rob, because you've had him on your fantasy team a couple of times.
Big time. I know I missed on him last night. I was pissed.
He's one of those guys that when he plays, he's gonna have a month where he doesn't hit at all, and then he's gonna have a month where he completely carries the team, hits 10 home runs, and gets about 30 RBIs, and every at bat he's dangerous. I mean, that's just the way he is, and it's fun to watch because when he gets into a groove, he's almost impossible to pitch to.
He's excellent with runners in scoring position as well.
He's also clutch. If you recall, Game 5 of the Yankee-Indian series back in 2017 against Corey Kluber, he had 2 home runs in Game 5 to help the Yankees win that game.
Yeah,
I mean, there's something to be said.
In the postseason again.
Yeah, there's something to be said about a guy hitting the other team's ace on the road in a big spot like that. And Didi Gregorius has always been one of those guys to do. I mean, last year in the playoffs against the Twins, he had a grand slam home run in game. Which game was it? Game 2 in the first inning, and that got the Yankees started on that 8-run first inning. I mean, this is the kind of stuff he does, and he's one of these guys that in Philly with a nice short left field instead of the ridiculousness of Yankee Stadium left field. He's going to hit some home runs to left field too because he's got some pop that way as well. It's not just right field.
And I also love that he's in a contract year. The Phillies only signed him for a 1-year, $14 million deal. So he's motivated to get an additional multi-year contract, whether it be from the Phillies or somebody else.
He's going to have a good year, and the Phillies will probably re-sign him because I think he's playing for Joe, and I think Joe has always liked Didi. He's always been a big supporter of Didi. So don't be surprised if that combination hangs around for a while.
I'm all for that combination. Then defensively, I mean, the Phillies just had too many mental and physical mistakes from the shortstop position. The shortstop,
he's a leader defensively.
The shortstop is the captain of the infield. And Gene Segura, for whatever reason, just his head wasn't in it. He caused Andrew McCutchen to get injured. And like I said, mental mistakes and physical mistakes, it really just doomed the Phillies. You can't give teams 4 or 5 outs in Major League Baseball. You're going to get killed. especially when you have a bullpen that's not up to snuff like the Phillies is. So I think that forget about all the offense. Look at his defense, and he's going to be worth his weight in gold as a defensive upgrade. So I can't talk enough about the Didi Gregorius.
Yeah, you're not. Listen, I
love the signing. I think he's going to be terrific, and I think he's going to be a big reason why the Phillies are able to grab one of the wild card spots and give this town something to get excited about from a baseball standpoint this fall. Because I think
you know what, they're gonna if you get something out of Nola this year, and I don't know if he was sick or what was going on with him, but if he pitches well, who knows? They could make some noise in the playoffs.
Yeah, Nola's going to be fun. I'm not worried about Nola. Look, is Aaron Nola a Garrett Cole or a Jacob deGrom? No, he's not.
But he could be for one game.
He's a tier below those guys, but he's a number one pitcher. He's the Phillies ace, and I'm totally comfortable with that. I think
he's the number one pitcher on most teams. Let's be honest. Okay?
Yes.
Maybe not the top 5 or 6 teams in the league. Okay, but he's the number one pitcher on the majority of major league teams. I mean, he's a real good pitcher. And listen, if you can get something out of Wheeler and Wheeler repeats what he did last year, then he should be good too. The only thing I would worry with Wheeler does have a habit of giving up home runs, and Philly is a ballpark that yields home runs. That's
all right. He'll fit right in. He'll fit right in because we got Pivetta. He gives up home runs. Vinny V. He gives up home runs, even though he's pitching right now in the spring training game.
At least Wheeler gets a lot of strikeouts, though. So he's going to strike a lot of guys out too. So as long as the home runs are with nobody on base, you're fine.
And Chrome also checks in. Alonso is the real deal. Mets can hit. I think the Phillies have a better lineup, but they definitely can hit. Look, Pete Alonso was tremendous last year. He had 53 home runs as a rookie. It was unbelievable. But is he going to do that? Is he a 40, 50 home run guy for the rest of his career now because of one season? I don't know. I got to see it.
I got to see
it for at least one more year, and then after this, I need to see it for 162 games before I can put him in the tier that the Bryce Harpers of the world are in.
The swings he was taking this weekend, he looked pretty doggone good to me. I mean,
look, I'm not predicting that I think he's going to be fine, and I think he's going to be tremendous, but
just don't sell.
Let's pump the brakes on comparing him to guys like Bryce Harper and the
first. Listen, first year, we'll see. I mean, I'll give you that, but Pete Alonso was a hell of a hitter. Jeff McNeil was a hell of a hitter. I think when you said that they don't have a good lineup, I had to make
sure. They didn't have a good lineup. Whoa. That's not what I said. I said the Phillies have a better lineup than the Mets, which I think I say it with conviction, and I believe it. The Phillies have a better lineup than the Mets.
There is one unknown with the Mets, okay, and that's going to be their designated hitter.
Yes, and I think I know you were going, but I'll let you finish.
Okay, if Mr. Cespedes play, okay, and he is not going to have to play the outfield, he is going to be the DH. If you can get something out of Yoenis Cespedes, that's going to be a very tough lineup to face. But again, that's a question.
Look, I mean, Cespedes, he's been a clown for his whole career. I mean, the way he broke his ankles at his ranch, doing God knows what, was fishy. I just don't know how engaged he is in baseball still. But you're right,
Rob. It is a contract year for him, though.
He's a tremendous talent.
Yeah,
for him, and that could be the Mets' saving grace.
If he is anything near what he was before all the injuries the last 2 seasons, I mean, then you're looking at a bona fide tough lineup. Now, listen, I still am not sold on the Mets bullpen. Even with Dellin Betances, I still think that the Mets have some issues out there. So we'll see what happens. I'll tell you what, I watched a little bit of the game on Saturday night, the Yankee Met game in Citi Field, and they bring in Dellin Betances, and it was like I'm watching Dellin Betances, and it was almost like watching he was still on the Yankees. He comes in, he walks the first guy, Then he strikes out the next guy. Then he tries to pick off the guy at first base. He throws the ball down the right field line, which is something he's so bad at picking guys off that he just doesn't throw the ball anymore because Girardi wouldn't let him.
Yeah, that's usually a theme with relievers.
Yeah, Girardi wouldn't even let him throw to first base. So but I mean, he got out of the inning. But you look at him and you shake your head because it's like, whoa. But I mean, he was only throwing 92, and he was a 98-mile-an-hour pitcher. That's why I'm wondering if some of these guys really have their arm strength. You know,
I wouldn't put too much stock in what happened on Saturday night in terms of arm speed and strength and being stretched out. Let's see how hard he throws on Thursday or Friday, whenever the Mets start.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. Prism wants to know about JT Realmuto. Yankees are not going to sign JT Realmuto. They don't need to be doing that. They've got Sanchez. They've also drafted a catcher as their number one prospect. The Mets are too cheap to go out and get him unless whoever the new owner is going to do something vastly different. The Red Sox right now are so backed up financially. I don't see it.
Well, Phillies fans need to relax.
Yeah, I don't think
they need to relax. The Phillies are going to sign him. Brad, it makes no sense to extend this man right now. It makes none. Remember what happened with Ryan Howard? They gave him a good faith contract extension, and he tore his Achilles tendon while the ink was still wet. You want that to happen to JT Realmuto, and then you're screwed and stuck with him like you were stuck with Howard? It makes
I think they're going to
extend this man right now.
Well, they will eventually. I mean, what is this? His walk year or is it next year?
This is his walk year. Yeah, they're going to wait. They're going to get Arrieta off the books, and they're going to ink up. They're going to ink up Gregorius and Realmuto. Realmuto isn't going anywhere.
No, I think he's somebody you'll keep. I mean, he's a real good player. I mean,
go through. The only way he's not on the Phillies next year is if he suffers some type of season-ending, debilitating injury, and they're concerned about his long-term health. That's the only way he's not a Philly for the next 5 years.
I agree with you.
It makes no sense, financial sense, to extend him right now. You let him play the season. You let him tear it up. You dangle that carrot so he doesn't get lazy after you pay him. And you make sure he doesn't get hurt. And then you sign the money. I don't want to hear about saving $25, $50 million on the back end when you're the Philadelphia Phillies and you're a major market team. Okay? So
I think the question is how much money what is Realmuto looking for?
I mean, I don't know who his agent is, but I mean, I'm sure that they're going to be looking for be the highest paid catcher in the history of the game, which I can't say he doesn't deserve that because he does. He's the best catcher best all around catcher in baseball. It's not even close. He's proven durable.
He's very good. I'm just wondering though, catchers are not guys that make big money usually. I mean, what did Yanni? Yanni was the big. What do you think he gets? Like 22, 23 million a year?
JT, Joseph H. Terrible take. Give the man 5 years, $115 million now. Why? This is business. I don't care about pissing him off. I don't care. This is cutthroat professional sports. This isn't Cuddle Club. It makes no financial sense to sign JT Realmuto right now. None. It doesn't.
I think the Phillies will. The Phillies will sign. I mean,
he's going to get 5 year, $115 million. I mean, I think that's a good prediction on what he should get.
Yeah, 23, 20, like
maybe you can sign him for a 3-year deal, so he can get another contract in his mid-30s. I don't know, but I have no problem with the Phillies management not signing JT Realmuto to a contract extension right now. I think it'd be malpractice to sign him to a big contract right now. Let him play. Dangle that carrot. Make sure he doesn't get hurt. Then sign him. Phillies are going to have a lot of flexibility financially next offseason because you're going to have Jake Arrieta, who makes $30 million a year off the books. So just everybody relax when it comes to JT Realmuto. It's going to be okay. You don't.
I agree with you.
You don't give up Sixto Sanchez and Jorge Alfaro, two centerpieces of your farm system, two pretty good-looking players, for a guy that you're just going to have for 2 years and then let walk. You don't do that. It's not how you do business. And I don't think Matt Klintak's the smartest man in the room when it comes to him being a GM, but I do trust him to get JT Realmuto inked up and in the Phillies organization for years to come. I do trust that.
Yeah, no, I think the Phillies will go out and re-sign him unless there's somebody else out there that they have in mind that we don't know about. I mean, that's always a possibility. But I mean, I don't know. I don't really know who the free agents are next year that are going to be of top quality.
Yeah, I'd have to look that up as well.
Yeah, I mean the only thing I know, Trevor Bauer, as far as pitchers, is probably the best pitcher. But I mean,
Joseph H. is still butthurt the Phillies let Cesar Hernandez walk. He's not sold on Kingery and Cesar was our best hitter and base runner for the last 6 years. Cesar was my favorite post-Utley player. I mean, okay, Cesar Hernandez was a cute player. He's now on the Cleveland Indians, who I think are going to have a really good season this year, and he'll probably have something to do with that. But Cesar Hernandez was not – first off, I don't understand how you can't be sold on Scott Kingery. He got jerked around by idiot Kapler all year last year, playing center field, playing third base, playing second base, playing shortstop, playing everywhere. Couldn't get into a rhythm, couldn't get into a groove. Still had a pretty decent season with 19 home runs, if I remember correctly. Now he's going to be playing second base every day, his natural position. He's going to be allowed to use his athleticism because Joe Girardi isn't going to be scared to steal bases and get the running game going. And I think he's going to hit in that 270 range with – it's tough to predict what their stats are going to be with the 60 games, but 7-8 home runs in 60 games for Scott Kingery. I mean, I get he's your favorite, but Scott Kingery's a way better player than Cesar Hernandez, and he'll prove that this year. Don't worry about it, Joe.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you on that.
I mean, Cesar, nice little player. He can run, he can field, he can hit a little bit, he gets on base. But Cesar Hernandez.
But I mean, listen, Kingery is the guy. He's you invested in him as a first round pick. And at this point, he's got to play. I mean, it's just plain and simple. He's got to play. So right now,
Harper's average isn't great, but his on-base percentage is very good, and he's clutch. Harper's stats always seem to come at meaningful times, not garbage time. All great points by Mr. Chrome. Check out Mr. Chrome tomorrow on Birds of a Feather at 8 o'clock right here on ATD Radio. Also, check him out on Lazy Booking, which is our wrestling show on Thursday evening. Look, Bryce Harper, people want to say he's not clutch because the Nationals won the World Series without him, and that's just pretty much the laziest take I think you can make. Just look at his stats. Look at his average post All-Star break throughout his career, well over 300. People want to say he's a defensive liability. Also not true.
Who, Harper?
Yeah, also not true.
Defensive liability.
People say it, man. People say a lot of stuff. People don't like Harper, and I don't understand why. Because he was a prodigy and he was on the cover of Sports Illustrated at 16 years old. People hate when they ain't, Brad.
I'm puzzled because that's not he's a good fielder and he can run.
He had a career high in outfield assists last year.
Yeah, no, he's
and how that makes him a bad fielder. Is he a Gold Glove caliber fielder? No, he's not. But he's
more than acceptable.
Far from a liability.
Yeah, he's not a bad outfielder. I mean,
he's an underrated athlete. He's going to steal bases this year. You watch. Joe Girardi's going to let these boys run, and they're going to be aggressive because that's how Joe Girardi likes to manage. Brad, you know this firsthand from his time in New York. Bryce Harper,
I'll tell you what, he wasn't all that aggressive towards the end. But again, towards the end,
that's because Cashman wouldn't let him manage the way he wanted to manage.
well, yeah, that's why Girardi ended up leaving the Yankees. I mean, Girardi wanted to run, and there was, Girardi, a classic Joe Girardi move was when there was runners on first and second and one out. The shocking double steal that nobody saw coming. I can't tell you how many times he used to do that. And
it's a genius move because then a single scores too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And you know what? And it's not like he would do it with guys that can't run. He would do it with, he'd have Gardner on. Gardner as one of the runners, and they had other guys that could run, and that's kind of how he used to manage. And if the Phillies have some speed, he'll use it. I mean, he's not adverse to using the speed to get things done. I mean, Joe Girardi is a good manager. Make no mistake. And the Phillies will play. There will be no nonsense. None of the Gabe Kapler stupidity is going to be there. You're not going to see Joe pull somebody after 60 pitches because kumbaya and all that stupidity. He'll take the guy out when he's starting to not pitch well.
And he's going to hold players accountable for their mistakes, which Gabe Kapler never did.
Exactly. That was the whole thing. I mean, sometimes he's a little too rough with that, and it ruffles some feathers. But he does what he has to do to keep the guys sharp and play. And I think the Phillies, as I said, I could see the Phillies definitely making the playoffs this year. Good news.
We got about 10 minutes before we have former Eagles receiver Freddie Solomon come on. We're going to talk some Eagles football, the second half of the show. But, Brad, it's prediction time. We already went over the National League. National League, I have the Nationals in the East. I have the Reds in the Central. I have the Dodgers out West. And I have the Phillies and the Padres as my wild cards.
Yeah, I got the Braves in the East, the Reds in the Central, Dodgers in the West. And I like the Nationals and the Phillies to get wild cards.
So you think three teams in that East, but the American League East, they're gonna get there.
Yeah, because you know what, the Orioles stink. The Red Sox are not what they used to be, and I'm not sure that Toronto is ready to compete yet either.
No, we're gonna get to Toronto in a second because I'm
not sure they got some
second series of the season. Phillies are going to open with the Miami Marlins, and then they're going to have two games at the Yankees and two games home versus the Yankees. So we're going to figure out how good these Phillies are right off the bat. Who's your National League MVP, Brad?
I'm going to go with Acuna.
I'm going with Bryce. I think the Phillies bashed their way to a wild card. I think Bryce Harper is the main reason they do that. I think he has a monster season. I think he finally shuts all his critics up and earns that money, as they say. All right, Brad, let's go to the American League. I'll let you start it off. You're the American League expert on the panel.
Well, right now, I think in the AL West, I think you're looking at Oakland and Houston, or Houston and Oakland, whichever way you want to go. I'm going to take Oakland to win the American League West.
I agree with you. I like that pick.
Their underrated starting pitching is going to come in surprise, especially in 60 games. The Houston Astros right now, you have Verlander and
I don't like their rotation at all, and I don't like their bullpen at all.
But what are you going to do with the 3, 4, and 5 are all very, very questionable.
You got McCullers off an injury. I mean, I don't know about Houston at all. They'll hit. I can't.
They'll hit, but their bullpen isn't all that good either. I mean, their bullpen got exposed. The Yankees exposed their bullpen last year in the playoffs as well. So I mean, I don't see that. I don't see the Astros winning that division. I think Oakland has a better pitching staff, and Oakland can hit as well. A lot of people haven't heard of most of the players that are on that team,
right?
But that team really hit the ball.
All right, what about the AL East?
The AL East, I think the Yankees win win by
Yeah.
5-6 games. I think they win pretty easily.
Yeah.
They're so loaded. They're so loaded. When they're all healthy and out there, I just don't see how they can lose. Chapman's going to be back shortly. They showed him working out on Saturday. The guy's a beast. He's lifting weights.
Talking about packing on muscle during quarantine.
I know he went out with the virus for a little bit, but he's going to be back. I mean, he's working out. He doesn't have the Freddie Freeman situation where he had 104-degree temperature. He's asymptomatic, but he got sent home. DJ LeMahieu came back, so
right.
You'll see Chapman
The
back.
Yankees are loaded. All right, what about the AL Central?
Too much pitching and too much bullpen. The Central is going to be interesting, but you got to go with the Twins. I mean, they have a great lineup, and they just added Donaldson. I'm not really sold on their pitching, quite honestly. I know they got some guys who are veterans, but I mean, Berrios, he's okay. He's not.
Yeah.
He's okay. Is he really a legitimate ace?
Very borderline.
Yeah, maybe a 2.
Boy, Aaron Judge just hit one a country mile off of Vince Velasquez.
Yeah, well, he did. He hit 2 last night.
Boy, he's such a beast. Judge is such a beast. I hope he stays healthy for these 60 games, and we can see how many home runs he can rack up.
Yeah, and Stanton. I'll tell you what, Stanton last night hit one halfway up the left field bleachers last night. I mean, that's
before I give my AL predictions. What's the update on Masahiro Tanaka? Is he okay?
Yeah, he's supposed to be. He's going to be their number 3 pitcher. He's going to pitch the 3rd game of the season.
He's not going to miss any time after getting hit in the face like that.
No.
That was very
simulated. He's pitching a simulated game tomorrow, and then he's going to be out there, I believe, set in game 3. And they're going to
Matt Olson is his dark horse MVP in the American League. Who is your American League MVP?
Well, I got to go with Aaron Judge, Rob. I think he's.
Yeah. I thought you were going to go Glaber.
No, I'm going to go with Judge because you know what? Judge is going to be playing the whole season. He's healthy. He can DH when he needs to DH. They can always throw Stanton in right field if they have to for a game to give Judge his rest. But I think he's going to have a monster year. I think he's going to hit close to 20 home runs. If anybody can hit 20 home runs in 60 games, it's Aaron.
Him. Yeah.
Yeah, I
agree with that.
Yeah, and playing in Yankee Stadium doesn't exactly hurt either. I mean, he's got that right field swing. So I really think it's time for him to step up and show everybody what he's made of.
All right, AL predictions. I'm getting a little.
I didn't get the wild cards yet.
Who you got?
I think Houston and Tampa Bay are going to be the wild cards.
I'm getting a little crazy with my American League predictions here. The Yankees are too good. They're going to win the East. I like the Indians in the Central. I think they're a very good team. You got Clevenger and Bieber at the top. You got a good bullpen. You got a tremendous infield. Really good team there in Cleveland.
Oh, absolutely. And if Jose Ramirez is hot from start to finish,
look
that's
out.
That's going to make a big difference. I mean, last year
can hit. Franmil Reyes can hit. They have a really good chance to win the division there.
Absolutely. But
the West, I agree with you. I like Oakland. I like Oakland a lot. I think they're going to win.
One team that's going to surprise a lot of people, the Texas Rangers.
Based on what?
Kluber,
you think he's got something left in the tank?
Yep. I think the fact that they're starting in August and he's had all this time off for his body to heal up, I think you're going to see the real Corey Kluber. And I think he only signed a 1-year contract, didn't he? Or he's only.
He got traded, so I don't think he signed a new contract. He's playing on.
I think this is his walk year, if I'm not mistaken.
That's interesting. I missed that, but I can't get for Texas. I think the West is crazy, but because I don't think the Astros are. I think the Astros are great. So
he had a big. Listen, I think he's going to have a good year, Mike Minor was really good last year.
Mike Minor was really good last year. Lance Lynn was really good last year.
So if you have three pitchers of that ilk, and if Kluber comes back and is the pitcher he was with Cleveland a couple of years ago, watch out. That team could sneak up on a lot of people.
Look, anything can happen in these 60 games, but
but that's my AL dark horse.
My AL dark horse is my second wild card. So I like the Twins to get a wild card, and I like the Blue Jays. I'm gonna roll the dice with the Blue Jays. I like this young lineup. I think they have just enough pitching. I think Giles has a big year at the back end in his walk year. And my AL MVP, I think Vladimir Guerrero Jr. makes a case for AL MVP. I know that's a bit of a dark horse candidate, but
he's got all the tools.
I think he can really hit. And I think this move, they're playing him at first base and DH exclusively this year. They're done with him, experimenting with him at third base. So I think that's really going to help him increase his offensive output. But I mean, Bo Bichette, Kevin Biggio, Lourdes Gurriel, I think they have a really good team. You got Schumacher, Ryu, Giles, Danny Jansen, catcher that I like.
To be honest with you, none of those guys really scare you.
Look, I'm just not in on Tampa this year. I don't think they're as good as they were last year, and I think they're going to miss the playoffs. And I think I'm going to put the Blue Jays in. And I don't want to pick the Astros just because.
Well, one thing
I don't like them. Number one.
One problem with Tampa is that I believe Austin Meadows just got sent home
for the virus. Okay, I didn't see that, but he's a good player.
Yeah, he's their.
The Rays have Meadows and Glass now in walk years. So if you're doing any last minute fantasy drafts, take notes on those guys in walk years. Realmuto, Kluber, Judge is yet to get paid. Giles. Go after them in fantasy. And I also, all you fantasy players, I would target the young players in this 60-game season.
I believe that we have Freddie Solomon.
All right, here we go. Kicking off the second half of the show. Former Eagles receiver. Wait for Frank to punch him up.
He was up there. He is. I think he jumped out and now he's jumping back in. And
we're getting Freddie.
Stream right now.
Let's keep our fingers crossed that
former Eagles great Freddie Solomon joins the show. Freddie, how you doing tonight? Love the gear. Love the getup.
I appreciate that, man. I'm doing pretty good. How you guys?
We're doing good. We're doing good.
Thank you for coming on with us.
Absolutely.
Oh man, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Well, obviously, you played in a interesting era of Eagles football. It was before Reed, McNabb era. Not to be rude, it didn't really go that great from a win-loss perspective, but just talk about how you entered the NFL. You're an undrafted free agent at South Carolina State, 1995. You play for Ray Rhodes. You play for John Gruden. Just kind of talk about your initiation into the NFL here in Philadelphia.
Well, first and foremost, I'm just thankful just to have the opportunity to get a chance to actually play in the league, and Philadelphia was one of the only team that actually gave me a chance. So just coming in as a young guy, man, I remained humble, had to work extra hard coming from HBCU, small black college. There's a lot of pressure on me, just trying to make the team. And it was hard. I learned a lot, from the experience, in the league. And I'm just thankful that the Eagles actually gave me a chance.
Were the Eagles the only team that really offered you a contract after being undrafted? Because we had Artis Hicks on.
I had a few more teams, the Vikings, the Dolphins, and maybe 4 or 5 teams that were interested. But Philly and me and my agent at the time felt like Philly was the best chance for me to actually make the team at the time.
Okay, one of my favorite coaches growing up was Ray Rhodes. He became your coach. he was a no. At least he came off to the media and the fans as an all business, no nonsense type of coach. Can you tell you got any good Ray Rhodes stories for us? Somebody got to make a play, he would always say.
Always make a play. Like you say, he's a no nonsense kind of guy, man, and he expects you to make them, not only in the game but practice too. You know what I mean? And Ray just was like a father figure that stayed on you, and he wanted the best out of you at all times. And like you said, no nonsense, no plan. He wanted you to be a professional and just perform your craft and be good at what you do.
Freddie, it's interesting when you came onto the team. Cunningham was gone, and it was before McNabb. I think you had Rodney Peete mostly, and Detmer were your two quarterbacks.
Yes, Rodney Peete and Tom. Yeah,
and you had a little bit of Bobby Orr. You ever wonder if one of those quarterbacks, you ended up playing with one of those quarterbacks, what your career would have been like?
I do. I mean, just playing with any quarterback in the league, you wonder, you know what I mean, what could have happened, you know what I'm saying? And my rookie year, but he was on his way out. So Rodney Peete and the Ty Detmer era, it was tough. Like you said, with the record and everything that we had going, you know, was fighting uphill, and it was tough. But I still learned a lot from those guys, man.
Well, the first season you were there, you guys did well. You made the playoffs. You lost a tough game in San Francisco. But I mean,
yes, I remember that.
But the first year, you guys were pretty good, and it really wasn't the offense back then that fell apart. It's just a question of, you know, you had a lot of really good guys that were from the '80s, and they just were getting old, and the Eagles had to replace them. And I think they hung on to some of these guys a little too long. I think that's kind of what happened.
Yeah, exactly. There was a lot of older guys that was on the team, like you said, and I think the younger crew was anxious to really get out there and show what we could do at the time. But like you're saying, with the guys vested and vetted in, it was just hard. You know, like you're saying, it was a different era, different generations, and I don't know, man. I just wish that we could have did more at the time.
Now, did you cross paths with John Gruden? Was he on the coaching staff when you were there?
Oh yeah, that was my offensive coordinator. Every single day I was in Philadelphia. Yes.
I mean, that's quite a head coach offensive duo there with John Gruden and Ray.
My first year, I wanted to fight Gruden. I wanted to beat up Gruden, yo. I'm telling you, my first year I wanted to fight Gruden. He was the kind of coach that if you really didn't understand him in the beginning, he would really agitate you and get under your skin, you know, because he just was a perfectionist. He wanted everything done professional and a perfectionist, man. But the ways that he tried to get it out of you was just different for a player for me, man. But my first year was real tough for me and Gruden. It took like my second year to really understand who he was.
I mean, obviously playing receiver in 1995 was very different than playing receiver now in 2020. What do you think about the direction of the receiver position, the direction of the game of football with the player safety and the pass interference rules? Do you think the game of football is in a good state right now?
I think in some areas, I mean, as far as the safety part goes, just being older in the game, I'm big on the safety part, and I'm all for it. I mean, the guys are young. I mean, you don't want to tear them down. So the safety part is, I'm all for that. There's some things that I disagree with as far as the pass interference nowadays. You know, that's a little different from what I'm used to. I'm used to the guys, you know, getting their hands on you a little more than what they do now. But as far as the receiver game go, I'm loving the game now. I mean, they're throwing the ball a lot more. You got different offenses, and the receivers are seeing the ball a lot more than our era. Our era was more ground pound, you know what I mean? Take what they give and that type thing. So I'm loving the game now. I see the transformation, and now I'm starting to coach, which is a new era for me. So I'm thankful for that. I'm coaching for a new arena team down here in Tampa, the Tampa Bay Tornadoes. So I'm getting a chance to hopefully work with the Bucks receiving core, and I don't know, man. It's just an opportunity and a new era for me. So I'm thankful.
Awesome. Freddie, are you related to the receiver that played for the 49ers?
None. I met him 2003 here in Tampa because he was actually working here in Tampa when I was playing arena football here, and he came to the stadium, and I actually got a chance to meet him. Man, nice guy. And we have I think what is it? A sheriff station here named after him. He did a lot for the city here in Tampa. Yeah.
Freddie, who's the best?
No relation.
Who's the best cornerback you ever had to match up with, whether it be a teammate in practice or in an actual game?
Man, it's so many, man. Dion, of course. Dion's a Hall of Fame, of course. Dal Green was another guy that I was matched up with a few times.
Yeah, he was really fast.
Yeah.
Also, my teammate Al Harris that went to the Packers. He was a tough matchup for me. Yeah. And my rookie year, I'll never forget him. My size or smaller and just as fast as quick. Nate McMillan, the corner from back in the day for us.
Of course.
He was tough. Yo. Yeah.
So let me ask you this. What was it like playing in the NFC East? You know, the NFC East is always known as, a real mean division. Everybody likes to run the ball, ground and pound, physical. When you played the Giants back then, when you played the Redskins back then, even when you played the Cowboys back then, you were always in for a real nasty battle. What was that like?
I mean, just mentally, your mindset, you already knew what kind of game that you was in for in the NFC East, especially division games. I mean, you just knew, like you said, the ground and pound, the hate, the dislike. So you kind of go in that game expecting that, especially as a receiver. I mean, we kind of expected. I mean, you know what's going on.
Yeah.
So for
more chirping, There's more chirping with the defensive, with the cornerbacks, and the safety. And with the receivers, I mean, I just remember back then, especially. I mean, there was one guy that used to play for the Jets. I don't know if you remember him, James Hasty.
Yes, I remember him.
Oh my God! I mean, this was a guy. Every time he knocked down a pass, he'd be pointing, he'd be wagging his finger, like Kembe Mutombo used to do. Back then that was the norm. I think now if somebody did that. Some of these receivers might deck somebody like that now.
Man, nowadays it's a different generation, man. Like I'm trying to understand the generation, but it's totally different from my era, man. It's so funny, man. The kids are totally just changing. It's like some of them forget about the fundamentals of football. You know what I mean? And they go straight for Odell Beckham catches and Steph Curry 3-pointers. Like they forget about how to dribble. They forget about how to, just the basic fundamentals of any sport. So it's just a different generation for me.
Obviously, Philadelphia is a tough crowd. We have passionate, knowledgeable fans.
Oh, yeah.
How did you enjoy or not enjoy playing in front of the Philadelphia faithful here? Because love us or hate us, we're very passionate people.
I love Philly, man. Like I say, great city, blue collar, man. Like you said, as long as you're consistent, you come in, week out, and you produce. I mean, what more can you ask, man? Like you say, they love you, but if you come in there with the BS, it's rough in Philly. But I love the Philly fans, man.
They do bring out the best in a lot of players. That's what we've come to hear from a lot of people who, a lot of the guys who we've talked to. That they come here and play, so that is well said. It's like
you don't want to disappoint the fans because you know what I mean. They're true, they're loyal fans. You know what I mean. You just don't want to disappoint a city like Philly, especially fans, man. So I appreciate them.
Do you agree with the statement that, not every player is cut out to play in Philadelphia and New York? Do you think there's credence to that? Or do you think that's just a bunch of fan speak?
No, I think if you're a player of that caliber, right? If you don't have thick skin, if you're not tough-minded mentally, those are two places that might be rough for you.
Right.
You got to be tough-minded in those places. Yeah, and a lot of guys can't play under pressure, man. The lights come on and they freeze up. So imagine if you freezing up and also you got the fans and people talking about you. A lot of guys can't handle that, man. So Philly and New York, yeah, those are rough spots.
Yeah, they're two of the toughest places to play for sure.
Yes, but also on a lot of thing about that, they're great places if you're winning, man.
Oh, absolutely.
Big time.
Yeah.
Big time.
So Freddie, when you played, okay, and I'm not talking about necessarily the best corner. Who was the biggest mouth of all the cornerbacks you played that would never shut up? Like ongoing conversation the whole game. Because there's got to be a few of them.
Oh man, I'm about to say that, man. I'm trying to figure out who could I actually pick out that was mouthy.
That many.
I mean, week in and week out, man. I don't know. That's a hard one right there, man.
What about Dion?
And a player like me, man, Dion was quiet.
Really? Dion was quiet.
Dion was totally quiet when I was out there on the field, yo. I promise you.
Really?
And that's kind of weird. Yeah, to see all the different things, like the highlights with him and other receivers. I guess if any competitor in the heat of the battle, if you get into it, what I mean, you're gonna mouth off. But I think Dion just played the game, man. Just played the game when I was out there.
I think he was more talkative when he was returning punts.
Yeah, I guess he saved it for the press conference then with his fur and his jewelry.
His layaway plan.
He's one of Philadelphia and New York. That's one thing a Giants fan like Brad and an Eagles fan like myself can agree on is that Deion Sanders, when he was playing, he was public enemy number one. But he was public enemy number one. He was public enemy number one because he had the goods. He was a terrific player.
Yeah, and he also had that little scar on the side of his helmet too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was probably, I would say, I mean, I didn't hate him when he was on the 49ers, but when he went to the Cowboys, that was it. That was it,
man.
Right. That was it. It's just like, it's just like Michael Haley. I used to love Michael Haley, watching him play too. But boy, when he went to the Cowboys, it's just like, oh man, these guys.
Yeah, exactly. They switched over on you.
Did you have any personal rivalries? Did you ever look across? Oh man, that's Darryl Green, man. I got to get the best of him this week. Did you have any nemesis?
Not really. No, during my era, during my time, and what I had to overcome, it was just a number. You know what I mean? I'm out here. There's no room for error. I can't worry about that's Dion. I can't worry about that's Darryl Green. I just got to do my job at hand right now. You know what I mean? At the best way I could. I couldn't worry about who that was. You know what I mean? It was an honor. You know what I mean? I got Darryl Green at the house on the poster right now, scoring a touchdown on him. So I'm happy.
There you go.
What were practices like in your era, Freddie? Because nowadays I feel like practices aren't really that much of a grind. You
had 2 days back then, right?
Oh yeah, man, 2 days for a month, So
yeah,
you do 2 days in like today, like today. I mean, that's insane.
It amazed me. I wonder why I played football. 2 days, twice a day for 30 days, the same people every day, grinding in the heat. It was miserable for a college kid coming out, man. 'Cause we used to for maybe 2 weeks, and to go for a whole month, that was mind-boggling, man. That was a grind for real, though.
Yeah, but you guys were in great shape, I bet.
Yes, we grinded all. I mean, the 2 days we grinded, and then throughout the season, we worked hard on Wednesdays and Thursdays. We took the pass off later on that week, maybe Friday, was helmet day. Saturdays was a walkthrough, but other than that, Wednesdays and Thursdays, man, we full gear.
Now, Freddie, you went on to play. You played in a couple different leagues. You played in the Arena League. You coach in the Arena League now. I believe you went to the Canadian League as well. Talk about those experiences, that style of football, that brand of football, the fans up there, things like that.
You know what? It was only arena, and coming from the big field to the arena field was a lot faster. You know, you got a lot of athletes in a small little space, and it was a hell of a lot faster. You know what I mean? Everything was timing. The fans was great. Just I treated it as football. I didn't care what level it was. I mean, a receiver on the big field is still a receiver in the arena football league. I mean, we got the same routes, same route tree or whatever. Everything is timing still. It's just in a smaller space, and I don't know. Everything had to be more accurate. I can tell you on the arena league.
Yeah, and you guys had to be gladiators on that field because that was it's just
50 yards long, man. It happened so quick. 2 plays, you're in the end zone, bro.
Yep. No, I mean, I think as football fans, anybody who watched the Arena League, we all can agree it's fun. That's fun football.
Yeah, man. It's action packed, man.
How long did you play in the Arena League?
I played from 03 to I think 08. And that was my last year. I got like 6 years in. Yeah. It was fun, man, you know, later on in my career.
And were there any NFL quarterbacks in there that you played with? Like,
you know what? Not at the time. No, it wasn't at the time. Nagy, the coach for Chicago.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was playing for the Georgia team, so I played against him a lot.
Who's the best quarterback you ever caught passes from? Whether it be college, professional, arena?
Randall.
Was it Randall? I had a feeling you were going to say that. Yeah.
Man, I mean, how could I not say him, man? I mean, that's all I knew. That's all I had. I mean, I played with Randall, Rodney, and Ty. You know what I mean? And then I came straight to arena.
What was it like to play with him? And he'd be running around back there.
Yeah, the old scramble drill.
Yeah, I mean, you guys would have like 5 or 10 seconds to get open. What was that like? I mean, were you able to like break off a lot of routes and you know, comp and do what you had to do to get?
It's always good to have a quarterback like Randall to run around, and like I say, you can be covered for 1 second, but like you said, he'll give you enough time to get open. So it's always fun to play with a quarterback like him, man.
Yeah, he had a gun too. He could fire that ball.
And he can punt, yo. That was the weird part about it.
Yeah, I remember a 95-yard kick against the Giants.
He's got the longest punt.
Yeah,
got the longest
punt in
NFL history.
I remember that.
That is crazy.
He did that on third down and a mile, and he caught the Giants completely off guard.
Yeah, he used to do it every day in practice, yo. Like just punt around on the side, yo. It's weird.
Yeah, you know,
athlete.
Punt. You remember Danny White on the Cowboys?
Yes, yeah.
He used to punt?
Yeah. Did he? I'm not sure. I think so.
Yeah, I think he was the punter and the. I mean, having a quarterback punt would really kind of make you think twice. You know, when you're out there on special teams, because kind of throw the ball to one of the guys on the outside, and you know, if you're not paying attention.
Yeah. All kind of doors can open with a quarterback like that, man.
Yeah.
Now,
that's surprising.
Freddie, you're obviously, you figured out how to be successful in professional football. The Eagles spent their 21st pick, their first round pick, on a receiver at a TCU named Jalen Reagor. Do you know anything about Jalen Reagor? Do you have any advice for Jalen Reagor? What kind of player do you think he's going to be?
I don't even know. Don't know of Jalen Reagor. I'm hoping that he come in with his head, humbled. You know what I mean? Ready to learn, ready to work hard, and just give his all. and basically, man, just try to soak up all the knowledge you can as a young buck, and being able to handle constructive criticism. You know what I mean? Not get down on yourself. You know what I mean? If somebody come at you the wrong way of a way you're not used to. And like I say, just remain humble and soak up the knowledge. The more knowledge and the more you understand the game, the better player you become early. So, like I said, just stay to the grind, man, and remain humble and remain optimistic about everything.
Do you have a comment on the quarterback of the current Philadelphia Eagles, Carson Wentz? Very
I
polarized.
love Wentz. I love Wentz. I think he's a competitor, man. I think he has everything that he needs to win. I just hope that he's 100%. I think that once he got hurt, it took away his little swagger because it took away from his game because he's actually a runner too. You know what I mean? His football IQ is smart, but he can pull the ball down and run. And I think when he didn't do that, that kind of hurt us a little bit, man. That kind of took away the threat from our offense. So I'm hopefully that the injury is clear out his mind and that he can come back and be the player that he was a couple years ago, man.
Do you have any predictions for the upcoming Eagles season? Do you think they can win the East? Do you think they're going to be a Super Bowl contender? How do you see this
I
thing?
tell you what, I'm hoping we can win the East. That's my prediction. After that, I can go from there, but at least win the division.
Right.
I
Right.
think we're pretty
I
good
mean, you're right.
to do that.
Yeah, we're right there, man. A couple pieces, like I say, Wentz 100%, and we get a couple more pieces, man. And we get some DBs. I think we'll be okay.
Do you think it's worth it to get rid of to move a first round pick to get a guy like Adams? You think he'd make a big difference for them?
I'm not sure. I mean, to be honest with you, I can't really, give you an answer on that, but I'm just hoping and just trying to be optimistic with what we got going on now. You know what I mean? And yeah, young crew, and I don't know. I think they can put it together, man, and something special can happen during the Wentz era.
Freddie, have you gotten a chance to see the Giants play last year? Yeah, Daniel Jones. Did you get to see him play at all?
Excuse me?
Did you get a chance to see Daniel Jones play last year on the Giants, their quarterback?
Okay, I'm sorry. I didn't hear your question.
Okay. Did you get a chance to see Daniel Jones play last year, the Giants quarterback? And what do you think of him?
Yeah, I like Jones, man. I think Jones is going to surprise a lot of people, man. I just think he was just young like any other quarterback that comes into the league. But I also think he did pretty good, man.
Yeah.
I think he's going to surprise a lot of people.
Yeah, I think.
You're not going to be able to just take him as a lightning. Yeah.
I mean,
And too, he run the ball. I like that. He's tough.
Now, I just wanted to ask you about the Giants. I know you probably don't watch them all that much because you're an Eagle all the way. But do you think their receivers are good enough this year, or do you think they're lacking somewhat?
No.
You think they're okay?
They're lacking.
They're lacking. You think? Yeah, because I think
I
they
do. Personally,
I think they need another receiver.
They do.
Yeah,
They do, man. They got a young quarterback. Yeah.
Because Shepard is pretty good. And Slayton is pretty good, but
yeah,
I mean,
like
Tate is getting old, and Ingram can never stay healthy. I mean, that's the problem, and that's what we worry about.
Right. Like you say, after the first two, it's a fall off, so they need another guy out there to help them out.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
They do.
Freddie, last thing from me before we let you go. You mentioned you're coaching now in the Arena League. Are you the head coach? Are you a position coach? How did you come across that opportunity, and are you enjoying yourself doing that?
You know what? I was actually just through some family members. We had a barbecue business going at the time, and a customer came in and was just talking amongst family members, and my name came up, and they were like, "Oh, my son-in-law." And the owner at the time was like, get out of here. Long story short, they changed numbers. The owner of the team got in contact with me, asked me did I want to be part of the organization. I told him yeah, and ever since then, man, I've been the wide receiver coach / assistant coach, and it's something new for me. But I'm optimistic, and I just want to give the guys the best opportunity to, go out there and win and be successful. It's something I love to do.
Well, that sounds great. Are they going to be? Do you think they're going to be playing next year?
Yeah, so far we canceled our season this year. The season's supposed to start 2021 of January, so fingers are crossed. Hopefully by then everything be cleared up, or hopefully something good is happening that we can kind of get back to normalcy.
We certainly hope so.
Well, Freddie, we certainly appreciate you coming on. Best of luck with
Thank
COVID.
you, guys.
Stay safe, stay healthy, and stay in touch. We'd love to have you on again.
Thank you guys for having me, man, and you guys stay safe as well, man. And I would love to come back on anytime you guys want me to.
We appreciate that.
Appreciate it a lot.
And we're going to hold you to that.
You can do that, man.
Yeah, after we will win, I think we want to have you on for sure.
Yes, sir. I'll be more than happy to do it.
We're going to have you and our other buddy, Artis Hicks. Remember him?
Artis Hicks, yeah.
Artis Hicks.
Yeah.
That name, yeah.
Yeah,
He
played in the early 2000s. He was an offensive lineman.
Yeah.
Okay, he was
Okay,
undrafted just
got
like you.
He's our
He was
buddy.
undrafted just like you.
Yep.
That's what's up. Hard work, baby.
All right. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot, Freddie. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you guys for having me, man.
Our
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Star Freddie Solomon joining us. As always, we thank him for his time. We thank him for his insights. Brad, for the rest of the show, I want to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles because this team confuses me. This organization confuses me. I don't know what to think about next season. Right now, I don't see the Eagles as a legitimate Super Bowl contender. I just don't. I think they're an impact player away from being that. And with the Brandon Brooks injury, I'm not even sure they're a lock to win the NFC East. So
I mean, they're not a lock to win. I wouldn't say that they're a lock to win. You can't really say that in football just because of the injury factor, Rob.
And I understand that, but I thought before the Brooks injury, they were, at least in my mind, significant favorites to win the NFC East.
Oh, I agree. I agree with you there.
And now I'm not so sure. I mean, you bring Peters back, which was a no-brainer, but that's not the impact guy you need to become a Super Bowl contender, in my opinion. I'm looking at a loaded NFC, and I just think the Eagles are a little short. Maybe people in the comments, maybe the family out there can put their sales hat on and sell me that this team is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, because I just don't see it right now.
Well, I think Freddie said it best. I mean, I think they need a couple of defensive backs.
I mean, you got to play. I'm not worried about their secondary.
Well, I mean,
I'm really worried about the defense.
Well, they can rush.
Sonic or Jamal Adams, yeah, you bet I would. But I'm not really worried about the defense. I'm worried about the Brooks injury, keeping Carson healthy. I'm somewhat concerned about Carson's health because, let's face it, he does get hurt. And, I think second running back is a –
Well, listen, most of the game, Carson's going to be throwing the ball.
Yes.
I mean, that's the way the Eagles are going to – that's their bread and butter. That's the way they're going to win. They're going to win based on how Carson plays and his health. Now, if he's out there and he has a good season and the Eagle receivers can get open, I know they're speedy. They certainly went out and brought some speed into their lineup. If they can get the vertical game going with the speed, I think things will be okay. I just it's really going to be incumbent upon them to make sure that they protect Carson Wentz. I mean, that has to happen. I mean, and
terrific player. I think Carson's a top 5 quarterback in this league. I think him and Deshaun Watson are tied for 5th on my quarterback list. I don't know.
Well, if not, it's close.
Still.
It's close. I mean, it is. I mean, as I said though, this group of receivers they have. I think that Doug Peterson obviously wants to have a vertical passing game. That's what this has got to be about. And if he goes ahead and tries to do that, yeah, I think they could be successful. Wentz does throw a nice medium and long pass. So I mean, there's no question that they can probably do that. If these guys can, hang on to the ball, I think they're going to be okay.
So you go back to the draft. I wasn't really that big of a fan of the draft. We talked about the Hurts pick at length. I didn't like it. I don't understand how you draft a quarterback at the 53rd pick in the draft when you have Carson Wentz on your team, as well as Nate Sudfeld, who you felt confident enough in to put a second-round tender on as a restricted free agent. So I think the Jalen Hurts pick, I think it was a bad pick, and I think that they're going to pay dearly for that from a depth standpoint. Rager's okay. I would have taken Justin Jefferson, or I would have moved up for Jerry Jeudy or CeeDee Lamb. All of those guys, I think, are just better football players than Jalen Reagor. And I think that take will age well, and you're going to see how good Jeudy, Jefferson, and CeeDee Lamb are this upcoming season. Then you take Hurts in the second round. I like the Wallace pick. I don't know much about the linebacker they took. Linebacker is a huge question mark for this team. So coming out of the draft, I thought Howie really needed to hit a home run with the draft, and I don't think he did.
Well, I mean, I think his home run is going to be Reagor. I think that's what he's counting on.
I hope he's right.
The thing is, though, sometimes it's not always the first and second round picks that make the big impact. I mean, look at the Giants last year. Their biggest impact was a 5th round pick.
Yeah,
and that was blatant. I mean, you just sometimes these later round picks you just don't know. Sometimes they're just system players, and you put them in the right system, and they really blossom.
It's true. It's a specialized system league. I mean, the Patriots are the poster child for that.
Oh, absolutely. And that
overall player, they just find what player A, what he's best at, and they put him in those situations. And that's how they can sub in and sub out, interchangeable parts. They can lose guys in free agency and not skip a beat.
I mean, let me ask you a question. Okay. I mean, do you think a guy like James White or Hogan or a lot of these other guys or Amendola or
right.
Who's the other guy? Julian Edelman. Do you think these guys would have been stars on other teams?
No, I don't.
No, but you know what? Sometimes, and none of those guys are first round picks. They're all later picks. But you know what? If you get the right guy in the right system, and they want to play, and they listen to the coach, sometimes it turns out a lot better than one might think. And I think that could happen with the Eagles this year.
Now, I think their best draft pick from a value standpoint was K'Von Wallace, the safety out of Clemson. I think K'Von Wallace should start for this football team. I think K'Von Wallace and Rodney McLeod should be the two starting safeties for this football team.
I don't know if he's going to start week 1. I think that could happen, but I don't think it's going to happen week 1.
I think eventually optimal talent is I love K'Von Wallace. I think he's a versatile player. I love that he played at Clemson, practicing against those 5-star recruits every day.
Oh, anybody who plays the SEC.
He can cover.
That's my attempt.
They're the ACC, but.
Oh, Clemson?
Clemson's the ACC.
Oh, they're the ACC? Okay.
They're an SEC.
They're an SEC type of team, though.
Yes, with their recruiting classes and their coaching and what have you.
Yeah, and a great quarterback.
But yeah, I mean, he can cover, he can tackle, he's tough. He seems to understand what's going to be expected of him from the fans' perspective. Because, like Freddie just said, not everyone can play in Philadelphia, New York, Boston, Pittsburgh, Baltimore. These tough New England.
The Northeast corridor is very tough to play.
So I think he gets Philadelphia in that standpoint. And I'm starting Jalen Mills at corner, opposite of Slay. I don't trust Sidney Jones as far as I can throw him. I think it was a terrible draft pick to pick a cornerback who tore his Achilles just a month before the draft with a second-round pick. I mean, maybe he figures out and is good, but I mean, I can't bank on Sidney Jones. He makes me nervous.
This is his third year, right?
This is his fourth year, I think.
Fourth year. Okay, well then he needs to. I mean,
Third or fourth.
It was his third year, but I mean, he needs to step up because usually guys, when they get into their third year, is when they blossom. And if he hasn't blossomed by now, I mean, I don't know when.
It's put up or shut up time with Sidney Jones, but I mean, I don't understand the move to safety for Jalen Mills. Everyone's gaga over this move to safety for Jalen Mills. I mean, I see a corner in Jalen Mills who the further away he got from the line of scrimmage over his career, the worse a football player he was. Now you're starting him at safety, way off the line of scrimmage. I just don't know how successful he's going to be at safety. And I don't understand. Someone can explain it to me that understands the X and O's of football better than me, but I don't understand the fit with Jalen Mills at safety.
Is he that good at tackling?
He's physical and he can tackle.
Okay, well that's probably why they
that makes him a fit at safety. I don't know about that.
Well, you know, most corners can move to safety.
I understand that.
You know, a lot of good corners.
I understand that. Yeah, and maybe I'll be proven wrong, and maybe Jalen Mills will be terrific at safety, but I don't know. I'm skeptical of this position change for Jalen Mills. And it's only a 1-year, $5 million contract. So if he struggles, you're not financially obligated into giving him any amount of playing time.
No, and he'll be gone after this year anyway. So you're going to be.
I mean, and then Bradley Roby Coleman from the Rams. I think he's going to be a terrific slot corner. I think he's going to be able to lock down the other team's slot receiver. And Darius Slay, I can't talk enough about how excited I am to see Darius Slay. So well, I know I kind of was.
He should be able to cover. He should be able to cover the top receivers on other teams.
Right, and you look at the Eagles' schedule this season. Look at all the top receivers that are on the schedule. You're going to play Devontae Adams. You're going to play Michael Thomas. You're going to play the Dallas trio. You're going to be playing the Cardinals. You're going to be playing DK Metcalf. You're going to be playing. A lot. Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. AJ Green is on the schedule. Juju Smith-Schuster is on the schedule. So the Eagles play a lot of top-tier receivers this year. So I feel a lot better about this defense with, a lockdown man-to-man corner out there in Darius Slay.
Yeah, I mean he should make a big difference.
And I know I was just kind of critical of the Eagles defense right there on a couple of points, but I'm very confident that this team is going to have a solid defensive unit, possibly a top 10 unit.
Yeah, I think that's pretty reasonable. So
I'm more excited to watch this defense play than I am this offense play.
Well, I think the offense is going to be the key to this team. And their ability to protect Carson.
But I don't know if I see a top 10 offense. But I think I see a top 10 defense when it comes to the Eagles.
You know what? If they can put 320 points on the board this year, I think they're going to be okay. I think you got to look at least 320 points this season in 16 games. That's at least 20 points a game. If they do that
on offense, you're saying?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, if you can't put together 3 touchdowns in today's NFL, you're getting lapped.
Yeah, I think if
teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens last year, they were putting up 3 touchdowns in 5 minutes of game time.
Well, okay, but they're also exceptional.
That's what you're chasing. Those are probably the 2 best teams in the league right now.
But defensively, if you have a good defense, good defense can keep a good offense in check. And the key is going to be, can the Eagles run the ball too? Because, when they play against some of these top teams, they're going to need to run the ball.
Well, I'm very excited to see what Miles Sanders does in his second year. I think he's a terrific all-purpose back. I think he fits the overall offensive scheme of Doug Peterson and this team very well. I think he's going to have a big year. But, Brad, I look at this offensive line, which has been a major strength in years past, and I have question marks. I really do. You're breaking in a new left tackle and Andre Dillard. Yeah, he's a first-round pick. Yes, I've liked what I've seen.
They don't have Big V to bail you out anymore either.
Big V and Jason Peters is back on the team, but he's got to play guard now because of the Brandon Brooks injury.
He's also old.
He's another year older.
Yeah, he's old.
Isaac Seumalo at left guard. He's okay.
You still have Lane. What's his name?
Lane Johnson's one of the best tackles in the whole league. He might be the best offensive lineman in the entire league.
He's the gold standard.
Lane Johnson.
And Kelsey is still really good too. So you still got a couple of real good offensive linemen out there.
But Andre Dillard needs to step up and be a first-round pick.
Well, this is his second year, third year.
This is his second year.
Second year. Okay. Well, you know what?
It is the fourth year for Sidney. Prism just chimed in on the comments.
Okay. Well, Sidney Jones. It's really now or never. And the fact that they went and traded a first-round pick for Slay really kind of tells you all you need to know about what they think of Sidney Jones. I think.
Yeah, they don't trust him, just like I don't trust him.
Sidney Jones.
Second-round picks. Look at the notable second-round picks that you need to step up this year for the Eagles. Sidney Jones was a second-round pick. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside, who didn't have a pulse last year at all, he was a second-round pick. Jalen Hurts is a second-round pick on this team. I don't expect anything from him this year. God forbid if Carson gets hurt and he has to play. That's not going to be good for the Philadelphia Eagles at all.
Well, I think they brought him in to make some trick plays, but again, I just don't get bringing in a guy in the second round to make trick plays. That I don't really think was the greatest move in the world for them to do. But we'll see. We'll see how it turns out. I don't think that was a great move on their part. But you know what? If Jalen Hurts comes in and they have a package for him, and he's able to produce a touchdown, a touchdown under his guidance every week. Hey, you know what? Then it wasn't such a bad move. He can be a weapon. He's fast. That's for sure.
Yeah, and then you have Derek Barnett, who's a first-round pick. This is a big, big season for him, too. I need you to get me 8, 9, 10 sacks this year, Derek Barnett. Brandon Graham is no spring chicken, and you need a new generation of pass rush to kind of present itself. So, I like a lot of the Eagles roster. I really do. But
they've got pretty good coaching. So,
there's also parts of this roster that makes me nervous. And the closer, and I'm going to get ripped for saying this, the closer we get to football season, the more I think about it, is I have this feeling deep in my gut that the Dallas Cowboys are going to win 13, 14 regular season games, grab the number 1 seed in the NFC, and then fall flat on their face in the playoffs.
Oh, I don't see how they're going to win that.
I don't know why I'm thinking that. Maybe that's just the Negadelphia in me. Rear its ugly head, which it can rear its ugly head sometimes, but I just get this bad feeling that Dallas is going to have a tremendous regular season, and then they're going to fall flat on their face in the playoffs like they usually do. Bob Brakeman makes a point. Eagles season depends on the play of 3 key players. Wentz, Sanders, and Ken Slay make the secondary overall better. And so Wentz, Sanders, and Slay, they're Bob's 3 key guys. I hear what he's saying, and I agree. Those guys have to have a good season, but I think the Eagles want to be Super Bowl contenders like we want them to be as fans.
I don't know that they're in that conversation yet.
I don't think they're in that conversation right now.
I don't think so. I mean,
You got to trade for Yannick. I think you got to trade for Jamal Adams. I think you need a major impact player to be added to this football team for me to seriously look you in the face and tell you the Philadelphia Eagles have a chance to win the Super Bowl this year. I just don't see it. As far as key guys coming up for the season, I think it's more of the lesser heralded guys that need to step up for this team. Andre Dillard needs to step up. J.J. Arcega-Whiteside needs to step up. Derek Barnett needs to step up.
I don't know if you're going to get it from some of these guys. I think some of these guys just, they messed up with some of these picks.
I'm not disputing that, but if the Eagles want to be Super Bowl contenders, these guys have to have big seasons. The lesser held, I expect Darius Slay to be a Pro Bowl corner. I expect Carson Wentz to be a Pro Bowl quarterback. I expect Miles Sanders to be a Pro Bowl running back. I'm good with that. I'm convinced that those guys can play, and those are legitimate players. The other guys, the JJs, you put Jalen Reagor in that mix. You can put Andre Dillard in that mix. Barnett, Sidney Jones, the linebackers. They need linebackers to step up.
Well, if Reagor steps up, that would really, really make a big difference for them.
So, if the 5 guys I just named, if two or 3 of them step up, I think the Eagles can have a really good season. But, I don't know. I think every game on this tough schedule the Eagles have is going to be a grind. The Brandon Brooks injury is just a total killer. One of the best guards in the league.
You can't replace a guy like that either.
From right tackle to center, who's been better than the Eagles over the last couple of years with Kelsey next to Brooks and then Lane Johnson on the end? That's
their offensive line.
A dominant right side of the line.
I thought that their offensive line was one of the keys to winning the Super Bowl. Let's be honest.
Big time.
That was one of the big reasons they won. Both the offensive line and the defensive line that year were tremendous.
And Bob says the biggest question mark is left tackle. Yeah, left tackle is a question mark. That's Carson's blind side, and you have an inexperienced young player replacing. Well, you say what you want about Jason Peters' age and how he got dinged up in almost every game last year. He had a tremendous season when he was on the field. He's an all-time great left tackle.
He is, but 30
Hall of Famer in my book.
He's 37 years old, and
right. He's gonna have to play. He's gonna have to play right guard and replace Brandon Brooks this season. That's gonna be
and how many? The thing is with him, how many downs can you expect him to play at a high level each game?
Well,
that's what I'm wondering. Because at his age, it's going to be tough. Offensive linemen do usually age pretty well for the most part, but when you're 37, up to 35, usually they're pretty good. But at 37, it's getting a little old.
37 is that's a big number in the age column to be playing NFL football.
Oh, absolutely, especially offensive line.
But I do like their depth. I like that they brought back Peters to, give you a veteran to start next to Lane Johnson. But I liked what I saw from Matt Pryor last year when he had to fill in. I like the 2 offensive linemen they took out of Auburn in the draft. So I think that there's some depth there, and they'll be okay if Peters has to leave the game or gets hurt. But
well, you don't want him to. Listen, that's the whole thing.
I wish Brandon Brooks didn't get hurt.
You don't want Peters to get hurt. That's the whole thing. If you can not have him on the field to play too many downs per game, he'll probably be okay. But that's the key. If you can get him in big spots, you can put him in big spots. That's what you want on a third, especially on third down and obvious passing situations. That's when you want him out there. To
280 China. Prism 2, Zach Martin's the best guard in football, hands down. Cowboys have a question in their O-line this year, to me, besides Martin, because how much does Tyron Smith have left? Yeah, Tyron Smith, I mean, he's breaking down. And Zach Martin's a tremendous
The Cowboys have
offensive lineman.
offensive line. They always seem to come up with good offensive linemen. I'd be more worried with the Cowboys about their defense. I think that's going to be the problem with them. I think they're going to give up a lot of points.
I think they're going to score a lot of points too, which is why I'm fearful that they can pile up wins and maybe win this East and grab the only bye week this year.
That's going to take some doing, though. I mean, they don't have an easy schedule either, Rob.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just saying what I'm fearful of, because I don't really like how this Eagles offseason played out, with the exception of Darius Slay.
All right, listen, the Cowboys and the Eagles right now are the two teams are the exacta in the NFC East. You know, either way, one of them's going to come in first, and the other one's going to come in second. You know, I don't see the Giants stepping up and being quite. I think the Giants are going to be better. I think they can be a real pain in the ass for some of these teams.
Yeah.
I don't see them being quite as competitive. I do think the Redskins are going to be a little bit better too, because I think Haskins is going to have some experience now, and I think he does have some ability. I can't imagine that he's going to be as bad as he was when he first last year.
Ron Rivera gives them stability on the sidelines. He's a pretty good coach.
Yeah, and the one thing the Redskins did do for the most part last year, till most of the guys got hurt, they played good defense for the most part last season. Just that their offense.
They usually have a good defense, and they add Chase Young to their defense. And Ron Rivera he's a defensive guy. But I mean,
listen, I think Ron Rivera is definitely they're going to be better with Ron Rivera for sure. I don't know how much that's going to translate into wins though. I mean, what did they win? 2 games last year? 3 games?
Yeah, it wasn't good. I think they got 3. I think they were 3-13.
Yeah, they were 3. Yeah, they were. Yeah, the Lions were 3-12-1, but the Lions were 3-12-1 because Stafford got hurt. So that was probably a lot of the reason. But
so what? The Redskins go 5-11. Yeah, they got better, but they still stink. And they have that owner down there who's just.
Yeah, he's.
Are they changing their name? They said they're going to announce a name change, and then I haven't heard anything.
I've been predicting the Warriors from day one. That just sounds
the Washington Warriors. That's not bad.
Yep, I've been thinking that from day
one. I saw
one.
one proposition on Facebook: the Washington Red Rockets.
That's not bad either, actually.
I don't know. I think it's time, with everything that's going on, for the Redskins to change their name. And I think it's time to get Daniel Snyder out of there, because he's just not good at it. I mean, they've been a disaster ever since he bought the team.
Yeah, but you can't fire the owner. You know that.
And you can force him to sell.
Not unless he does something totally egregious.
You're right. It's hard to get rid of an owner, but
yeah, I mean, I'm sure the Redskin fans would be dancing in the streets. I know one fan base that's pretty happy about a possible sale of their team, and that's the Met fans.
I know, A-Rod and J-Lo.
Well, I don't think they're going to be the ones that own the team, but they're
part of the group.
Well, Stevie Cohen, I think, is going to be the one that's who brings in all the money, the hedge fund guy. I think if he owns that team, I think you got to watch that team, because they'll start spending the money. But as long as the Wilpons are there, or as Met fans call them, the coupons, don't worry too much about them. But the owners are important.
Who's going to the World Series?
I mean, I hate to state the obvious, but I just can't see the Yankees and Dodgers not facing off in October.
That would be fun. They're by far the most talented teams, but I think it's going to get crazy this year. I'm picking the Indians over the Padres. I'm getting crazy.
Listen, baseball is meant to be a 162 game season, not a 60 game season, and a lot of strange things can happen in 60 games.
That's why I'm going with the Indians to win the World Series over the Padres. Let's go. Let's get weird.
Okay, well that's
Weird.
That's okay. I mean, listen, I hate to go chalk on you, but I can't imagine.
Well, they're really good teams, and it'll be interesting to see that if the talent reigns supreme over 60 games, or we get chaos. I think we're going to get chaos. But it's going to be Thursday night. Scherzer and Garrett Cole. I know you'll be locked in.
Absolutely. The two dark horse teams in the American League, I gave you one was the Texas Rangers. The other one is the Chicago White Sox.
I like the White Sox. I've been talking about the White Sox for
Very, 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 very curious to see how good this kid Luis Robert is. I keep hearing about him.
He looks really good.
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk about him. If these young White Sox pitchers get their acts together, watch out.
And then my second wild card team in the American League is the Toronto Blue Jays. I think they have a great lineup, and I think that they have just enough pitching. So that's my dark horse. National League dark horse. I mean, I did just pick the Padres to win the National League, so I guess that's kind of a dark horse. I think the Phillies are going to have a great season. I think they have
they're not a dark horse. They're a good team. I mean, I can't really consider them a dark horse.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess the Blue Jays are my dark horse.
Yeah, I mean, in the National League, I mean, you could say the Cubs because a lot of people are really down on the Cubs.
I'm out on their starting pitching, and I'm not a Kimbrel guy at all. I think that was a bad signing.
Well, I mean, he didn't have a spring training last year either, so that may have that couldn't have helped. But I mean, that's
4 years though.
Yeah. Oh, they gave him 4 years?
3 or 4 years? Yeah, he didn't get a 1
years. Whoa, that's right. Because he wanted 25. He wanted $100 million for 4 years, and the Red Sox said forget it. Which I agree with the Red Sox for doing that, by the way. But if I were the Red Sox, I would have tried to get him maybe for 2 years.
All right. Well, that'll do it for this edition of the Sports Hounds. Thank you to Grant Ledyard. He tried his best. We're going to try and reschedule that interview. Apologize for the technical difficulties.
And we apologize to Grant for, I'm sure it was aggravating for him. We
tried our best. It just wasn't in the cards tonight. But we'll try and get Grant back. Thank you, Freddie Solomon, former Eagles receiver, for coming on. Great insight into his time with the Eagles and gave us a peek into what this season could hold for this football team. Thank you to everyone who liked, shared, and subscribed to tonight's show. Until next Monday, he's Brad. I'm Rob. Frank produced. We'll see you next Monday.